I saw when she bought that book, she came into the room after her presentation.
What's the name of the book, please? Let's write it down here. So announce it when the hall is full or now.
Yes.
So there is a missing book. So there are two missing books. Please, I will call the name. Should it be that you mistakenly put it in your conference bag, kindly search and bring it to the MC stand so that we may return it to the rightful owner. Thank you very much.
Everybody's ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to kickstart the roundtable discussion. Kindly appeal you take your seat. As announced earlier, I appeal that you don't leave any seat in front of you. Let's have all the seats in front filled to capacity before we spill to the back. We're about to have the round table discussion. So please, kindly ensure that you have your seat in front. Thank you. Please send a WhatsApp text, make a phone call, inform your colleagues that are still on the lobby that we are wrapping up the conference now. The roundtable discussion is themed on uncertainty in the emerging energy landscape and the PIA era, Nigeria's petroleum economy at a crossroad. Before we continue, this is a little announcement. A lady purchased about 2 books and somebody probably mistakenly picked them and put them in their conference bags. So she is searching for the books now. Kindly search your conference bag. If you're with this book titled The Quest for Development Aces in honor of Professor Akin Iwayemi at 70, and you're also with another book, Glossary of the Oil and Gas Industry and Conversion Factors, please search your conference bags, and if you find the book, you kindly return to the MC stand where I would give back to the owner. Thank you very, very much. So let's kickstart the panel session. I would so be pleased to invite our panelists on stage, and once we invite them on stage, we'll be pleased to have them sit as they begin the discussion on Nigeria's petroleum economy at crossroads. Of course, the very first panelist I would like to invite on stage is Executive Director, Economic Regulations and Strategic Planning at the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. She is a certified banker, project manager, and finance specialist with deep expertise in program delivery, innovation, and regulatory reform. She holds a PhD in forensic accounting and audit and has held key roles at FIRS, including heading the innovations, initiatives and intervention units and coordinating payback initiatives to improve Nigeria's business environment. Since her confirmation in 2022 as Executive Director at NMDPRA, she has overseen important regulatory frameworks, including the recently announced roadmap for harmonized refinery regulation across West Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Zainab Gobi to the panel. Of course, her insights are sure to deepen the understanding of economic regulation, strategic planning, and regional energy dynamics. Please give a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. Yes. Our very next panelist is a man whose work sits in the intersection of law, energy, policy, and global governance. He is an associate professor at the Nigerian Institute for Advanced Legal Studies and currently serves as a legal advisor to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. He brings a wealth of expertise in energy law, international policy frameworks, and institutional development. Please help me welcome Dr. Taiwo Ogunleye, Associate Professor, Nigerian Institute for Advanced Legal Studies, and Legal Advisor, OPEC. Welcome, sir. Former legal advisor. Thank you. You can sit down on her right. And of course, the very next is another very amazing personality, a communications innovator whose work in digital engagement continues to redefine how the energy sector connects with the public. She is the Deputy Manager, Digital Engagement and Social Media Coordinator at NNPC Limited, with over 15 to 17 years of experience across strategic communications, brand management, and innovation in the energy sector. She has led the transformation of NNPC's digital platforms, delivering engaging content, building online communities, and strengthening stakeholders' trust. Her leadership has delivered measurable growth in audience engagement, creative digital content, and excellence in managing multi-platform campaigns, all while maintaining alignment to corporate values and strategic messaging. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Blossom Ozurumba. Please celebrate her, please. Is she here already? Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. We celebrate you. Phenomenal. Please celebrate her, please. And of course, the man to steer the entire session, the entire round table discussion. He's a professor emeritus of petroleum economics at Louisiana State University in the US and currently serves as the principal facilitator at the Fulpre Energy Business School. He is a former president of both the IAEE and NAEE, bringing to this forum a wealth of knowledge and leadership experience that bridges academia, industry, and policy. An alumnus of the University of Ibadan, the University of Pittsburgh, and West Virginia University. He holds a degree in petroleum engineering, energy resources, and mineral and energy resources economics. Beyond his academic laurels, he has served in several advisory and leadership roles, including a trustee of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigeria Council and a past regional director of SPE Africa. Known for his exceptional ability to blend technical insight and economic reasoning, he continues to inspire the next generation of energy professionals through teaching, research, and advocacy. Please help me welcome Professor Omomi Eledare, celebrating our moderator for today, who will steer this section for the next 1 hour. Please keep celebrating him. Okay. He's advising me that you should be the moderator. So Prof, you can, okay? So.
That's okay. Thank you very much. A lovely afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For a moment, I was wondering what anomaly is about to happen. You can imagine my professor moderating a session and then he's asking me questions. It almost looked like an appraisal, right? So forgive the forgive the hitch in our programs, and please welcome once more to this very important roundtable. And it's my huge pleasure to steer the conversations, you know. And of course, being very new in the field, I just started my doctorate in energy economics. I'm shaky right now, right? So please forgive me. Oh my God, I'm seeing all my lecturers in the Have you ever been in that session where you are being appraised without your knowledge? That is how I'm feeling. So because you've been there, you would have to please bear with me this afternoon. So welcome, Prof, and of course, my very distinguished panelists. We will start with Professor Iledare as well. We all know him. Who does not know Prof. Ledare here? If you don't, this would be a good opportunity to ask you to probably just walk out the door and then come back so we can introduce him to you. All right, sir. So this is the conversation you've been waiting for. But before we start, we just want to set the ball rolling, right? I believe in commitment. And what does that mean? The moderator, the panelists are going to give us a word of commitment, what they want us to leave this room with from their insights, and then at the end of the conversation, you will then judge if you actually had them say that, and if you're leaving the room with that. So we'll start with you, Prof. What is one thing that people would leave this room with after this roundtable? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me begin with my I'll go to the podium. I want to really set the stage, and lesson we take over from there. So permit me to.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Originally intended.
All right. Do we have it on the screen, sir?
Yes.
All right.
I want you to know how committed I am to this organization, because I was actually at this moment supposed to be speaking to the National Assembly, but I told them, no, this is far more important to me than them, and that's why I quickly run here. The energy landscape is evolving, and you can say whatever you want to. I remember when I landed in the United States on August 20, 1983, you then, who did not like to smoke, will be the one to go to a small room. Everybody else who wanted to smoke can smoke anywhere. Today is the reverse. So, and by the way, in 1954, there was a vogue for energy transition. And do you know what the transition was about? Transitioning from fossil fuel to nuclear energy. 1954. To the extent that in 1958, there was peak oil. That they think nuclear energy will be the, until the 3 Mile Island debacle, that nuclear energy did not become the new energy frontier. So there's no doubt. But the theme of this roundtable is looking at the PIA era and looking at the economy that is dependent on petroleum. How do we manage it? So Nigeria's petroleum economy stands at a defining moment shaped by global energy transition, technological disruption, and geopolitical uncertainty. While the Petroleum Industry Act remains a landmark reform designed properly to separate policy from regulatory institutions and commercial institutions, the challenge before Nigeria is the concept of implementing the provisions of the law fully and not selectively. Uncertainty is when you don't know precisely the outcomes of an action that you have taken. So the global energy system is being redefined by volatility in oil prices, shifting investment patterns, driven mostly by environment, security, and governance. To the extent that if you don't have an ESG metrics, it may be very difficult for you to get financing. So what we want to then look at, the transforming uncertainty into opportunity. Stochastic way of life is not deadly if you are able to pick up the opportunities. For every challenge that you are faced, there are opportunities. So the PIA promise and governance deficit is the one that is compounding the uncertainty. The clarity and efficiency through institutional separation, where the Petroleum Commission, the Petroleum Authority, and NMPC Limited do not have to take directive with any political undertone. That is the objective of the PIA. Are we there? No. Is it what ought to be? Yes. There's also the scripture says, do not undermine marginal benefit. The scorecard is worth celebrating in terms of looking at the commission and the amount of investment they have attracted. Looking at the authority getting on their feet, doing all they can to promote competition. Midstream gas reforms remain aspirational. We are still yet to have what I call cost-reflective pricing, which is somehow limiting liquidity. There are three roads that lie ahead, and I'll come and sit down now. One, convenience road. Superficial reforms and policy inertia. That's the convenience road. We're not here to criticize. We are here as professionals to discuss things that could be improved upon so that the marginal benefits can be expanded. There's also the command role. Three roads that lie ahead. One, convenience. Oh, we can call that business as usual. That's the easy way out. The second is the command. And this is what I call administrative control and populist pricing. And there's the third road, which is the institution road. Rule-based, competitive, and accountable governance. It is more or less empowering institution, not individual. It's not about the authority chief executive. It's not about the GCEO. It's not about the CCE. It is about the commission, the authority, and the commercial institution. Institutional empowerment is what can deliver what the PIA intended. And so if we are going to manage uncertainty and real options, there are 5 policy imperatives. 1, institutional integrity. And forgive me, if you are a student of mine and I repeat a phrase over and over and over again, be sure it's going to come out in the exams. And one of the things you've seen me rephrase and repeated over and over again is the constitution of the board of the authority and the board of the commission. Just like you have a board for NMPC Limited. Without those boards, and it's not a celebrative board, they are important to bring integrity to what the board commissioners and board executive directors are doing. To the extent that if you look at the CCE and the ACE, quite often because of personality-driven authoritarian tendency, they don't remember that the commissioners is a one-man, one vote with the board, the management executive director of the authority, and it's because there are no board. 2, competitive neutrality. Ensure open access and transparent tariffs. 3, downstream confidence. Protect consumers via direct transfers, not subsidies. There are differences between subsidies and transfer. 4 or 5, accountability and data. One person was just asking me about data. And I gave 2 examples. When I was writing my dissertation, remember, don't let us, data is key. Data is what you need to be able to plan effectively. And data must not be odd, and it must be of great quality. In West Virginia University, when I was writing my dissertation, I don't know, people always call me anytime. I kindly apologize. I'm going to round up now. I needed information about every well that was ever drilled in West Virginia. And I went to West Virginia Geological Survey, and I told them the way I wanted the data, and they gave them to me. Is that possible in Nigeria? No. A black dude going to a predominantly white agency of government and telling them I want data that was drilled in West Virginia over 20 years. And I told them the way I want it arranged by water depth, by location, and by year. And that was the basis of my dissertation. When I got to Louisiana, I went to you can check all of this out. And that's what I meant by this the fifth important component of policy imperative, data and accountability. I went to Minerals Management Service, and I wanted to see the leases that were ever given in the Gulf of Mexico. I wanted to see what happened between nomination and post-nomination. It's still in my office at LSU. And that's what you need to be able to know whether the PIA is performing or not. And finally, gas industrialization. You cannot industrialize with gas without infrastructure. And that is the purpose of the fund. But you will see in the fund, something is missing. And that's where the authority has to go in and create regulation on the disbursement of the fund. But can they do it? The authority does not have a board, but the small unit under the authority has a board. There's conflict there. So this is what we want to debate today, that I know that Blossom, that's why I drafted her. Because a few days ago, she came on to a forum that I organized, and she was peppering me with questions. So you can be sure, Ajia, she will pepper you. Nigeria's challenge is not energy poverty, but governance deficiency. And I'll continue to say it. Governance is key to economic emancipation. The PIA provides a compass, but the courage must drive the journey. True progress demands policies that outlast the political environment that does it. Progress that is true must go beyond politics, and leadership that serves posterity over prosperity. I'll conclude. when it comes to the oil and gas sector for now, it is still the engine that will propel Nigeria's economic power. The fund must be used well. Prosperity without posterity is inconsequential. So leadership mindset that is transformational and not transactional is required in the oil and gas sector. The values to be added and created for posterity. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think he deserves a better round of applause. He's literally just set the stage for what I presume will be a very value-filled and rewarding conversation. Thank you very much, Prof. So we will then quickly move to Prof. Zainab. Just your 1-minute opening statement. So, just to let people know what they're going to leave this conversation with. And then before we zoom in.
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. And once again, thank you for this opportunity to speak at such a wonderful event. I continue to say that this institution, NIEE, is so consistent in the oil and gas sector to the point where this is the 18th conference you're having, and the dedication is spectacular. I also want to appreciate the fact that every year I come here, I'm able to listen in and see the improvements, meaning whatever roadmap comes out of what we discuss here, I see the industry pushing the needle forward towards that. So you're driving a very, very important sector, and you're walking the walk and talking the talk. So I want you to go home with that. But with that being said, what I'd want everybody to leave with here today, and I think it's something we need to get across to Nigerians, oil and gas players, and the stakeholders and the government as a whole, is a regulator is not a beauty contest type of environment. So what do I mean by that? Our job is not to give out flowers and awards. When you see regulators, it's serious business. And I think we've been confusing what we're doing to be people have not understood that to regulate is serious business. People tend to expect nothing but just good news coming from us. Our job is to protect the sector. Our job is to ensure that the policies being in place are being administered and being implemented adequately in accordance to the law as at when due. So, and most importantly, to create an enabling environment for all participants as a whole. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please, let's give a round of applause. So you've had the commitment. At the end of this conversation, you will then be able to measure if you are going home with that. So we'll come to you, Dr. Taiwo Ogunleye. So just your 1 minute or so commitment to the utility of this conversation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I thank the organizers for inviting me, and I'm indeed happy to be here. I followed the association's program. Indeed, I was a member up until 2023, if I'm not mistaken, at the international level, I would say. And I found the interest in the development of the oil and gas industry to be very insightful and also encouraging and comforting, at least that we have an association that is interested in Nigeria harnessing the opportunities it has. Yesterday, the ambassador said something of Kenya. He says, when institutions are accountable, investors respond appropriately. And that's my point. The question is, are the institutions now, not necessarily the regulatory institutions. We have the executive, we have the legislative arm, and we have the judiciary. There are also the arms of government that are involved in the non-implementation of the PIA. I told Prof that I disagree with the title in a way because I do not see uncertainty that is envisaged. I think I come from the perspective of the law, and the first question I ask myself interrogating the title is that whether the law at the moment is inadequate. And my answer to that is that it isn't inadequate. When we were working on the drafting of the PIA, one of the members of the team in 2012 usually asks a question: what is broken that needs to be fixed? Now, the question is that, is there anything broken now? Within the ambits of this law that I see, I cannot say precisely. But what I think here is accountability on the part of the arm of government that is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the implementation. And not only the arm, I also have the institutions presently, the regulatory institutions, because it's a different thing about the governance. It's also another thing about them implementing the functions assigned to them by the provisions of the law. These I see lacking. It's one thing not to have the the governing body. It's another thing for them to understand what they ought to do for Nigerians and investors to benefit from this law.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure you're already seeing some sparks of debate brewing, right? And that is the beauty of this roundtable. So we're going to hear different perspectives, and then it is now left for you, the audience, to sort of take the value you want from the very well-reasoned thoughts that would come. So now going straight into the conversation, I'll start with you, Professor Zainab. You are wearing the cap of the regulator. And I love the scenario you played out where you said it is serious business. It is not pageant, So now, I want you to sort of take us a bit on the scorecard. What do you think has been the major gains post the implementation of the PIA? What are the major wins that you have seen currently operating in the field? Don't tell us what you expect, but what has already come to pass and has been established that you would want us to know. Thank you.
This is interesting. You want me to mark my own script?
That's pretty much what it is,
This is beautiful.
And then that will then set the room for the conversation. You can do it. You can do it, man.
You're asking me to mark my own script, but I'm a person of integrity, so I'll do so with full integrity. I'm a regulator.
Thank you.
The gains, so I'll list them out. My assumption is everyone here has been in the oil and gas industry for a very long time, mostly probably even more than I have been. And you will realize that for Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the first wonderful and opportunity we were given was to merge 3 entities to one. So NMDPRA is a component of DPR plus PEF plus PPPRA, now merged into one agency. And we're all very well experienced and versed to know that when you bring 3 children from different mothers into a house, there's a job that has to be done in terms of the human capital. So getting everybody to realign to a new vision. Now, that of course will come up with its challenges of people wanting to do things the way they know how to do it before, to now implementing the law. So what are our gains? We've been able to successfully bring 3 agencies together in a span of 3 years to work harmoniously to focus on one goal, which is to regulate the mid and downstream sector. The second major win we've been able to have is to remove ourselves from the shadow of NNPC, because for whatever reason, the industry has always felt that NMDPRA especially is an arm or like a subsidiary of the commercial arm of NNPC. Nigerians we're not used to understanding that, okay, NNPC is now a limited liability. Now they have, a regulator that regulates them. And that was done with the help of course, what we're doing and Dangote coming into the industry, and people now saying that there's two elephants in a room, right? So now it is, so who's checkmating the elephant, lack of a better word. So that has been a very big milestone. You've seen our authority, the management, talk about quality of the product that's being put out there, and we ensuring that everybody adheres to what the law is and what the regulations are and what the standards are without fear or apologies to the system. So that again is a major success factor where we're taking our job seriously and we're not politicizing anything. We're doing our work. Fourthly is the commercialization of the environment, of the oil and gas sector, which is one of the best gift the drafters of PIA could have ever given Nigeria. When you read the PIA, it's literally an economic book given to Nigeria to implement, and that's the best gift you can give any country in the world. And I would like to take this opportunity to commend those that drafted that book, because every time I open it to implement it, it's fascinating. The answers are there. You don't have to go looking for anything. So they took the time. That 20 years it took was worth the wait. So to expand on that is to say they made our job a lot easier, where we've been able to consistently give out the domestic base price on a yearly basis in the law as stipulated. We've also been able to set a temporary 6-month tariff methodology for the sector, which will expire in December. We've also been able to get rid of fuel scarcity. If you'd remember before, we used to have artificial scarcity and real scarcities, right? We've not had that since the regulators have come into play. We've not compromised in quality of products. We've not compromised in the distribution of products. And we've not compromised either on establishment of new industries, new infrastructures. We've also been very, very supportive of the MDGIF by collaborating with them to ensure that some of these people that are being issued gas infrastructure fund partnerships are well-needed opportunities and are placed diversely across Nigeria. That way the energy sufficiency will go round. There'll be infrastructure to make energy available across Nigeria and make it competitive for Nigeria. I think I can keep going if you want me to, because we've done a lot.
I think you've
So
done justice. Let's
thank
celebrate
you.
her. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I will now skip to Dr. Taiwo. You said you had disagreed with the topic, so obviously there is nothing broken yet, because something has to be broken for there to now be a fix. So I have a very simple question. I'm sure all of us have seen in the papers of late, the conversation around tweaking the PIA. If you've seen that, let me just see a wave of hands of recent. If you haven't seen it, you could probably just check Google right now. It's right there. So there's been a lot of conversation recently of the need to sort of tweak the PIA, as it were. And I've even seen Prof, come on television, to sort of give his thoughts around that. So we don't know how authentic those conversations are, but maybe this might be a good time to know what actually is going on. So do you want to tell us what exactly is going on? And if it's designed towards tweaking it, then would you agree that something needs to be fixed? And which aligns with our topic for this conversation. Thank you, Dr. Taiwo.
Okay, I know that I've had and read that there are proposed amendments, which in my view are awkward and unrealistic and impracticable. First, there is this proposal to transfer all the leases and licenses to the commission. And for me, that's absurd because I've never seen anywhere where the regulator holds a license for the government. I mean, I can understand if the policy-making body holds it, like the ministry, but to have a regulator that is saddled with the responsibility of determining the commerciality of transactions, holding the same license on behalf of the government, that to me is absurd. And also, I also heard that there's a proposal to transfer or remove the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated and saddle just the Ministry of Finance Incorporated with the holders of the shares of NNPC. I guess that's coming from an uninformed perspective, and I'm saying it categorically because the idea of having the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated came when we were drafting the Petroleum Governance Bill for the for the National Assembly. And there was this thought on the table that, there were issues around whether it should go to BPE because it's going to be, sold, some of the shares will be sold. And then the question was raised that, look, you are taking the, making BPE a shareholder, whereas the ministry that has a responsibility more or less is not part of that particular institution or a shareholder there. And that was where the idea of having the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated came up, because it would be able to contribute from an informed perspective to the decision making or the recommendation or policy directive of the NNPC. And I can't disagree with this, because the reason why NNOC was transformed to NNPC and then incorporated with the Petroleum Inspectorate was, one, under the Philip Asiodu regime, was to ensure that they harnessed the opportunities then because there was capacity deficiency, and also to ensure that the people who are involved participate, even though down the line, years later, it was observed that this is dysfunctional. But in the law, that is the NNPC Act 1977, it was made clearly that the inspectorate was just going to be the technical arm, and NNPC was going to be the commercial. Now, removing Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated, for me, is a misnomer. It's in fact absurd, because I do not see how a Ministry of Finance Incorporated will be able to make an informed contribution from a petroleum perspective to, the policy decisions or directive of the NNPC. So for me, I think wherever the idea is coming from, they need to go down to the history and find out what brought about this, because it wasn't something that someone woke up one morning and then put it there. So, and why it is being removed, that's my question. What is broken? That's because I think a gap that should have been, that I observed in the PIA was that a structure was not put in place with the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated, like it was done many years later for the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, because Ministry of Finance Incorporated also didn't have anything of that nature. But they now put a structure there, now they have a board. What I think should be done is to establish a governance structure for the Ministry of Finance, for the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated, to allow it to make, useful contribution towards, NNPC, even up until the time he goes public, and also protect the interests of Nigeria. And then I think those are the two things I learned, and for me, I'm still trying to think about it, and I'm unsure whether this really makes sense you know, from any standpoint, either legal, commercial, or, so this is, for me, it's strange.
All right, thank you. We've had it from, I almost say from the horse's mouth, but at least you can take it home at this moment that it's not exactly, there's no clarity around that conversation. But even if it should hold, you've seen some of the proposals that he has tailored. Thank you so much, Dr. Taiwo. So a lot of what you've said would have a lot of leadership backing around it. So that brings us to the conversation on leadership. If you paid attention during Prof's remark, he has talked about transformational versus transactional leadership. So I will come to you, Prof, at this point. We want you to sort of just elaborate a bit. I feel really good, asking my prof questions. He's always asking, so this is my opportunity to ask. So elaborate in details. Some of those leadership attributes, that you think will be necessary, number one, to sustain the PIA as is. And then if some of the proposals that Dr. Taiwo has sort of brought to the table should be considered, what kind of leadership attributes do you see that would take that to the yes and make it happen? Thank you, sir.
Leadership. We have good examples in Nigeria over the years to be able to understand the different mindsets of a leader. But what is prevailing in Nigeria majorly is a transactional leader on one end and a transformational leader on the other end. Basically, if you look at a transformational leader, it's not about prosperity for an individual. It's more of a prosperity for all. And posterity is what it's looking at. I don't have to mention a name, but if you look at the former leaders of Nigeria, take Sardauna of Sokoto, for example. He could have put a university in Sokoto, he didn't. He put it where he knows people are ready to go to the university at that particular time. And that's why he put Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. That's why somebody like, who does not speak his language at all, had access to every part of his house growing up. That's transformational. A transformation leader does not micromanage. He or she delegates and take responsibility as a result. Luckily, she's not here. When I was EI director, I literally just take my responsibility and put it on somebody's heart. And she carried the vision. That's what a transformational leader does. You have a vision that is created. You get people that buy into that vision. And they carry it on. A transactional leader is a micromanager. He wants or she wants to be the one that is making the decision. He wants to be the one that takes all the credit. And that's why he or she is involved. The oil and gas sector is a long-term business where an individual has a time limit, whether you like it or not. And what a transformational leader in that sector will do is that when that fellow is gone, that vision that is created goes on. A very good example is Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Even the free education, he gave the credit to the people that devised it. A transformational leader has advisors, not assistants. See, there's a difference between an assistant and an advisor. You see, a transformational leader will have to remind himself that he's the leader, not to get up when his advisor comes in. A transactional leader is bossy. He wants you to know that he's in charge. In institutions that have posterity as the essence of its existence cannot be transactional. Cannot be transactional. That's to me has been my gospel to the leaders in the oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector is intergenerational. A leader that is just looking at the reward today without an understanding that prosperity without posterity is inconsequential. I've seen it played out. I know who I am, I know how old I am, and I've seen it all. I told you, if you are transformational, you don't spend public fund for consumables. You spend public fund for generational purposes. Good roads, good hospital, good education. That's what you see in the developed world. And that's where we stop. When it comes to the oil and gas sector, it is about posterity and not necessarily prosperity.
Wow, thank you very much, Prof. That's something to really reflect on. I love where he said it's for posterity, you know, so we will meet it and we will leave it, and another generation will come to grapple with either the skeletons or the successes, as it might be. So deeply tied to leadership is also governance integrity, right? So we'll come back to you now, Prof. You know, I really love that you have shared some of your success stories, but we also know that you can do better, right? So that is where governance integrity comes in. So what do you think can be done to sort of safeguard the institutional independence of the regulators, both NUPRC on one hand, and then of course NMDPRA on one hand? What things do you think can be brought to the table to continue to make your independence sacrosanct on one hand, and also to avoid undue political interference? You know, so this is an opportunity to now make a call for the things that can make your work even easier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you're asking a technocrat a political question. That can be a bit dangerous. But let me start by saying I had a great opportunity of, immediately I got appointed, I actually met with Prof. And ironically, the doctor to my right here was my boss when I was in Federal Inland Revenue Service, because he was a senior advisor to, special advisor rather, to Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Joint Tax Board, where I was heading the Finance and Admin Department in Joint Tax Board. And then, of course, I was very fortunate to meet Prof when I got appointed. And I met with Professor Morobe, who is not here also. And I met with Dr. Tim Okon and a couple of other industry players. Then I happened to be very lucky also to work with a legend, right? Engineer Farouk Ahmed, that has been in the industry for several years, and some of my colleagues that have been in the industry for decades also. So I think, to answer your question upright and to be honest, is the one thing that the recruitment process of the PIA did was it brought people that were already seasoned and comfortable people that have a reputation, yes? So what do I mean by that? People that are not easily influenced in a deterrent manner. So they came in knowing that this is our job and integrity is the forefront of this job, and being honest, being transparent, and delivering in accordance to the PIA, which is not very easy to do because you will step on some elephants in the industry. No one is shy of seeing our issues when we're trying to work and collaborate with Dangote. It's, I mean, it's not a secret. So to answer your question is, Thankfully, we had the government behind us, and we had a brave chief executive that stood for the truth. He did not mind the consequences because he knew, I believe Prof. said posterity was more important than what he's going to get at that moment. He did what was best for the future. And at the end of the day, even for the Dangote refinery, they were able to come to terms to see that what we were talking about was in the light of what our mandate is. And we fixed it, or we were able to harmonize and collaborate with Dangote a couple of months ago when we had our S&P collaboration with S&P Global on pricing. We had a conference, and Dangote was part of the top figures that came and spoke at the event and recognized and appreciated NMDPRA for what it is doing. So, you know, at the beginning, it's hard for players to want to be confined to a certain rule. And we understand you've made an investment, it's not easy. But we also have a mandate to protect Nigeria, to protect energy security, and to protect other players. So we are in a very comfortable position, and having the government backing to say these are regulators, do not interrupt them, meaning the appointees are still there to create stability for the law to be implemented. So we're employed for a 5-year tenure, and thanks to God, we're still here, which makes it very important because you're letting it speak that this institution must grow in accordance to the law. So it's not politicized. It is a mandate that has been given, and the government is supporting us to do the work. So that is very, very instructive, and it's well appreciated that that has happened. So I don't know if that answers your
Absolutely,
question.
absolutely. Does that answer? Remember the commitments we made at the beginning of the conversation. So you will be the judge. Thank you very much, Prof. And then we'll come back now to Dr. Taiwo. You know, I love your role. It's really very interesting when you look at it from the framework of the ongoing conversation around energy transition, right? So we want to talk a bit about gas because as a nation, as a country, we've identified gas as our transition fuel, right? So, so let's talk a bit around gas to industry linkages. Are you okay with that? You know, so I know you focus more on oil, but oil and gas really is what the PIA talks about. So what kind of fiscal or market reforms would you love to see come on board to sort of make natural gas, let it not just be a conference topic or conversation, as in the real things you want to see brought to the table to actually just make it the real backbone of our economy as a nation? Thank you, Dr. Taiwo.
I've had this conversation, I think a couple of weeks back, and there's this question about reform. And like I said in the beginning, what is broken that needs to be fixed? I want to believe that we have more than enough provisions in the PIA that has not been fully implemented and tested with regards to this particular area. And there are provisions there which are more or less drafted, you know, to ensure that we are able to enjoy the benefit of these resources in Nigeria. And I can go on in terms of the list of those provisions which are there. In terms of the pricing, in terms of domestic gas obligation, in terms of the infrastructure being made available, you know, stipulating open access or third-party access, the tariff methodology, There are a lot of provisions there. And also, I mean, I think, save for the new amendment to the tax now, there are also provisions that are available to ensure that we enjoy the benefit of our gas. So if I'm asked the question, what is to be done, I would say both NUPLC and NMDPRA should implement the law. That's just the simple thing. First of all, NUPLC, I think they had like a plan between 2024 and 2026 of licensing rounds based on the provisions of the PIA. But I do not think that their licensing round has included, fields, gas fields, drill or drop. I'm sure that they would or should have identified, according to the report, those fields that are still being held back, that they are automatically supposed to be relinquished and placed back in the market for people to at least grab for development. And if I'm asked, if those ones are not implemented now, then the question is, what else do they need to do? So now, when it comes to the infrastructure, I am not sure whether NMDPRA has done like an audit of the infrastructure with a view to helping investors to determine how they can get gas to the market. And I had the executive director saying something about the tariff, because tariff also matters. It's one thing to have the price, because if you go to Section 170, the price is disaggregated in such a way that any investor that comes in would have the benefit of whatever investment. So I think if all these things are implemented by the two regulatory bodies, we'll be better off. This is my own
submission. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're slowly coming towards the very end of the conversation on stage, because we know the conversation is still expected to continue amongst us, amongst ourselves, right? So we've all spoken well. So I think this will be a good time to now talk about managing risks, uncertainties. I love what you said earlier about the Kenyan ambassador, who had talked about governance, stability, having this relationship with investor confidence. So I'll then come to you, Prof. So we're thinking, in trying to mitigate investment and geopolitical risks as a block, right? What kind of things would you love to see being put on the table, just to ensure that investor confidence is heightened on one hand, and then we're also able to solidify our place within the geopolitics of the conversation as a major player in the industry?
Uncertainty is part of life, and managing it requires tools. To some extent, political risks are always a little bit difficult to manage. So far with the commission, I think it's only 2 young commissioners that have been let go. So you could see some stability. No aid, with the exception of NMPC Limited, has been let go. So from one government, elected government, to another, there seem to be, so to some extent, that is okay. I don't even think anybody in the authority has been touched. So that's a stability in itself, which investors are looking at. Second, we are creating a new level of uncertainty with all this noise of amendment. In fact, in my speech to the National Assembly today, I did not use the word amendment. I used a word they call refining. No, the law is not supposed to be perpetual. You can refine it, and that's part and parcel of how to manage uncertainty. If the refinement is in public domain and not transactional. I think even though we are not fully at the level in which we are supposed to be with respect to the gains that are anticipated as a result of the long journey of PIA, we are progressing. Like the ED said, we've not observed any queue. In fact, you can correct me if I'm wrong, since since that subsidy was removed, because availability, accessibility, sustainability, and affordability are in the Venn diagram. Yes, there are pains, and that's part of the consequences of uncertainty. That's why we have the concept of probability, and that's why, especially in the office that is policy, and by the way, I can make a statement. I don't see, in my opinion, one way to reduce uncertainty in your business, Madam Edie, is for you to be in the same building with the executive, with the SCE, because you are long-term. You are not production, you are not operational. You are strategic. And one way to manage uncertainty is to be strategic. And that's why you will see in your analysis you have medium-term, reference, and high. And you monitor it. The way to manage uncertainty is intellectual capacity development. Tasking your staff that you send for training to demonstrate the use of the tool that they have gained.
All right, thank you very much. And we will then take the last set of conversations, but you will take this from the point of view that it is also your closing remarks, right? So we'll start with you, Dr. Taiwo, right? Don't worry, it's not a difficult one, right? So we want to talk about deregulation a bit, right? So the thing about the PIA has vested on NNPC to be the commercial player, so it's expected to make profits. So that's public, on the public side, on behalf of the government, right? And then we also then have the PIA enabling private players also to come into the field and make profit as well. So how do you then see this deregulation play out to ensure that there is no untoward monopoly from either sides? So you feel free to maybe use some case studies if you want, and then just also use that as a closing remark. So that's the question I'm going to ask everyone. So you start thinking your heart around it. Please don't say what someone else has said. You can see I'm very strict, right? Don't say what someone else has said, so we can all leave the room with different point of views. Thank you. So we'll start with you, Dr. Taiwo.
Okay, so Section 205 has made it clear that, products is supposed to be sold at the market, price. And also, Section 210, 211, 212 empowers the authority to ensure that there is no anti-competitive behavior. So, to a large extent, the buck stops at the table of the authority in ensuring that they implement the law. Now, there are two dominant players now, whether we like it or not. There's Dangote, who has the biggest refinery, close to at least the refineries of NNPC that are still unfunctional, and then the small players. And I wouldn't expect the authority to ignore any signs of anti-competitive behavior. As much as there may be other undertones in terms of labor, I think some of the concerns raised by some of these associations, they are valid and ought to be looked at critically by the authority. And beyond that, I believe that whatever the authority is doing is to ensure that we, the consumers or the customers, are adequately protected. Although if they fail to do that, there is the FCCPC there that is also empowered to step in where the sector regulator fails to do what it ought to do. So I believe that we are covered, even if NMDPRA does not act.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for that. So, Prof, it's your turn now. Professor Zainab.
All right. So I'm going to now use, I'm not speaking as a regulator now, because you asked me a question about NPC, right? And hopefully like a strategic platform for them to operating. And I'm assuming that's what you want to hear. So my perspective and what I see is we commercialized NMPC for a reason. We want it to become profitable. So the way business is being operated must be done differently. You have to now think outside the box. And it's very important, I think based on my experience from taxation, is we are designed some way, somehow, most of us, I don't want to generalize, to look at big numbers. That's not the way to make money. We always miss it. It is the little monies that add up to big money. And I'd like to use an example of value-added tax. It's little tokens from individuals per second. And you'd be amazed if you take a sub-region, maybe let's say in Kano, right? And say, how much do I make from company income tax there versus how much I make in VAT? I mean, you don't need a scientist to tell you. VAT is going to beat it down because of the volume. So that's what we need to do. Right now, oil and gas is an environment people are afraid of because it is capital intensive. So even those that have a certain amount of money that can play in the smaller sector like LPG, and Nigerians are very creative, especially I'll give it to this young generation. If we open it up, if NNPC maybe even opens up a youth section and take these students that are part of this institution and put them in a room and say, hey, draw up something for the next 5 years that if you have maybe 5 million naira or below, you can do with the sector. And NNPC pick up this research, collaborate with CBN, give these youths the loans to do it. You will be surprised that the NNPC is not going to worry about up or midstream sector. The downstream sector will flourish because now you're talking to 38% of the population. And this will literally solve employment issues, security issues, commercialization will be automatic, investment will be automatic, safeguarding the investment will be automatic, consistency will be automatic, and Nigeria will function. And they will drive the process. They will drive the implementation. And they will drive the two elephants because now they're demanding, right, from NNPC and from Dangote, because now they're clients to these people, and they will drive how they want the sector to function, which will now assist the regulators at the end of the day to put in friendly policies that will grow the economy and will grow the sector. And so my closing remark would be this. I said something earlier I did not complete, and this is, it's public because one of the things I think we need to take out of here, and I think this is the platform to share because I really respect the people that put this organization, this together, is yesterday when I came in to the program and I sat down, as I was leaving, two of the participants followed me and they saw me enter my car and I'm driving myself in my car and they were like, huh? She's a big woman, she's driving herself. I'm like, yes, I'm a public servant. You know, I'm not saying this go to everyone, but you know, just like he said, prosperity. Is it about me? What does it take to get the job done? Do I want to spend the money, like Prof said here, on myself and shine, or do I want the system to work? Am I waiting for a 7-car convoy before I get to an event and everybody's waiting for me to deliver my job? Or I get to work at the right time, do my work at the right time, and leave? Then the luxuries will be earned. So that's what I want us to go away with, is with this attitude. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Very, very interesting thought process. We would also come back to the audience. You know, I'm sure you probably have a few questions, so just hold on to that. We'll come back to you shortly. So, Prof, your closing remarks around deregulation and, of course, what you want us to finally take home. Thank you.
To me, I think we cannot divulge policy from politics. However, institution is what we need to begin to build. Institutions build nations. Personalities fade. You know, I mean, if I look at all the Senate majority leaders of the United States Senate since I was in the United States, I don't see anybody's name mentioned again. So, but the Senate institution is still there. A few days ago, I listened to somebody mention Senator Byrd from West Virginia. If you go to West Virginia, you will see his work there after he has gone. I think that is something that we've not taken seriously as a nation. I remember, okay, and I'm going to close quickly because I got to worry. When we were debating the PIA, doctor, you can bear me witness. I said only the CCE should be a member of the board. Then he will remember that he's a messenger. Because he just go to the board to take message for his people. But the moment now you have too many members just to balance geopolitical interests, the other EDs are not put on the same level with the other one. The same thing in the commission. So institution is what we need to build. Hey, that's just my opinion because I look at my my son for life when I say some of these things.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Finally,
okay.
Governance must outlive tenure cycle. Your GCEO, when he leaves, his governance should not go with him. The CCE, when he leaves, the governance of the commission must not go with him. The ACE, when he leaves, somebody must just come and rebuild it. Nobody will be able to do that if all of these leaders of the oil and gas sector today thinks more of posterity than prosperity. That's what I want you to go with. When you become a leader, think beyond now. Otherwise, all your effort will be meaningless if it's not transferred to the future.
Wow.
And that's what you see happen with Akin Wayemi as president of NAEE. That's what you saw happen with Adene Kenju. And it's left for Hassan Mahmoud to make sure that posterity judges you right. You saw the immediate past president beside you. The future is more important than the present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we have time for just maybe 2 questions. Thank you. So do we have any question at all? Yes, you would come, yes, come forward. Or do we have a roving microphone? Okay. So we have 1 question over there. Do we have a second one? Any second question? Okay, then we also have a second question over there. So let's start with him and be very specific. If you want a specific person to respond, please feel free as well. Thank you. Your name, of course, and your company.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olalikon Oluwatosin from Ajayi Crowther University. And I would like to start from where Prof ended. Yes, just 1 question. I'm glad that we're having conversations like this and, that would help the economy of Nigeria thrive. But one major problem for me that I've noticed is that, in, talks like this, like what are the place of young economists that are growing up, that we ensure that policies that are being made right now would, continue the consistency of the policy that are being made right now, so that people that are coming afterwards will keep up with it and ensure that they build on it and not just scrap it and want to start another one. Thank you.
All right, so that's 1 question. Let's take the second question so we can then just run through. Thank you. Your name, of course, and your company.
Thank you very much. My name is Gashon. I'm from Covenant University. I have a question for Dr. Taiwo Ogunleye. But first, can we just put our hands together for the panelists? It's been fantastic for me. Dr. Taiwo, I like the way you've responded to a lot of the questions regarding the law working. And if it's not broken, then why try to fix it? My question then is, do you think that the way the PIA is being implemented is in tandem with the intentions behind that law? Or do you think there's something disconnected between how it's been implemented and the intentions behind the formulation of the law? Thank you.
All right, very interesting questions. Please, let's celebrate them. Let's put our hands together. Thank you so much for your thoughts. So, Prof, you have probably just 1 minute to respond to him about the place for young economists and, of course, the implementation from Dr. Taiwo. Prof, please.
For your question, I'll just continue to advise you to be patient and then groom yourself up. Your time will come. I'm telling you. Don't be too much in a hurry. The future is brighter than what it seems. I know I'm just saying it and it's coming to your head. I don't want to give my own life story, right? 5 years after primary school, I did not go to secondary school, right? But since I went to secondary school, if you go to my hometown in Nigeria, I don't know anybody who does not want to be like me. But are they willing to not go to secondary school for 4 years? But yes, you are too much in a hurry. You want to be like someone that you see without thinking of how did he get there? Will you resign from Shell to go to graduate school? If Shell gives you a job now and you stay there for 2 years, will you go and write a letter of resignation to Shell and say bye-bye? How many young people would do that? There has to be a recalibration. And I think, Madam, the future is bright for you. Just develop yourself. I know it's easier said than done. That's where the future comes in when you make decisions. Say there's a road that seemeth right in the eyes of men and women. The end thereof is death. You don't believe it? It's the truth. Young people are just too much in a hurry today. And the nation is becoming worse off as a result of that. The people you voted for, you shouldn't have voted for them, except that you are a soy tick in your mindset, instead of being a Jacobian. That's why even in Quran, you hardly will see the name of Esau mentioned.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think let's give him a round of applause. That helps, right? All right. But if you want to continue the conversation immediately after this stage, approach Prof and he will give you more of his thoughts. Yes, Professor Zainab wants to add something also that you would go home with. So, Prof, please. Can we do that in 1 minute? 1 minute.
Yes, that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Yes, so I think for me, I want you to, the youths, because I would say I'm very young in this room, extremely young, right? We need to know that yes, we know a lot, but we don't have wisdom. So we're moving at a fast pace and not respecting the experience of our elders to show us the way. We're in a hurry, just like Prof said, I agree. But when you calm down, the elders, whatever it is we're trying to do, is not new to them. This life is a circle of life. I think the Lion King said it all. It's a circle of life. There's nothing we're doing now that is different from what they've done. It's just done in a different space, in a different era. So I think for you, you're already doing well because you're in a room full of legends. So you started well. You've been able to hear people that on a good day you won't have access to, maybe even in your university. That's the first step. The second step is hold the institutions accountable. I'm sure when I go to your phone, I will see you on Instagram following maybe a specific musician or an actor. You're probably not following NMPC. You're not following the Nigerian mainstream downstream. You're not following FIRS. I mean, I can keep going. And that is where your future lies. We are the ones in charge of, we're the ones that are being, we're shepherding what the nation wants for your future. So you have to follow the roadmap to understand where the country is going and to ensure that that's where you want us to lead you. So you have to talk to your peers, to speak, but the speaking in a constructive manner. Strategized, constructive, futuristic. And you put it out there, and then you follow through. Why I had actually wanted to speak was to say, again, this institution is so important. Prof beat me to it by saying the first chairman is here and all the way to the latest ones. So they've done something right. Then they have a room full of youths. But I would like to please charge you with this. I know it's not easy, and this goes back to what Prof said. The youths are just not interested. This hall should be filled up. I bet you if we go now that there's a concert this evening, people will be jumping the fence to attend. But we are in a program that is 18 years old of hard work, of people that know what it takes to become successful. And you're not jumping the fence to attend it. It's not appropriate. I think we should find a way of reaching the youth. So this is for us now, as the institution, this is my advice, to reach these youths and make it interesting enough for them to want to come. Maybe we institutionalize during the program, you bring a comedian in for 30 minutes. For example, Brother Shaggy, that will bring them in. You know, sometimes when the mountain doesn't come to Muhammad, Muhammad will go to the mountain, so that there's continuity in the system. And like I said, forgive me if I've offended anyone. I think outside the box. That is who I am. I'm a technocrat, and I'll say it like I should.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Zainab. Thank you. So I'm sure NAE, you are taking some points from there on how to fill up the room, especially with young people. So the final question from Dr. Gashan about implementation of the PIA and the current implementation and the intended implementation. What are your thoughts? 1 minute and we'll call it a day, sir.
Specific things like a governing board for the institutions, which was put in place by the Buhari administration, and then 2 years, or I'm not sure they even spent up to 2 years, the Tinubu administration came in, and now 2 years, over 2 years, there's none there. Now, the PIA has clear provisions about how they can be removed. And this governing board, they have vital, crucial, essential role to play. So that's one part. So for those who were dissolved, I believe that the Nigerian thing must have, discouraged them from going to court to challenge that, because there was no reason stipulated in the law that the president followed when he dissolved the board. It was just a political whatever. So that's one part. The other part is that those who are in the institutions right now, in the absence of the board, they have not been, as in the two institutions have not actually implemented the provisions of the law. In terms of publications, the provisions in terms of audit, a lot of things have not been done by the institution itself, and I'm being categorical about that. So the part where we are involved is that no one has also challenged the government that, look, this institution was put in place for a particular purpose. We are not enjoying the benefit of this, and we can't see them do this. I mean, put a board there, perhaps maybe they would be forced or constrained or mandated to implement the provisions of the PIA. So to that extent, I believe all of us are guilty. I can tell you for a fact that there's a judgment that challenged the Buhari administration when he was the governor, when he acted as a minister. And the Federal High Court actually gave a judgment in favor of the applicant, challenging and questioning President Buhari as the minister, that he cannot act in that capacity, and he's still subsisting. So there are a lot of other things, so I'm coming from a point of law and fact in terms of where I consider us not doing what we ought to do, because there's accountability. National Assembly is silent. Nobody, I don't know what happens at the electoral level, but someone should actually raise the issue. And I also think that's why I challenged Prof with the title, because from 2023, this association has been, right from Professor Adenikiju, Professor Omorugbe, they've raised issues about the non-implementation. I think there's a need to bring some of these players here at this gathering and challenge them. Why is this not done? Because this is part of what we can do at our own level.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Sayo. Ladies and gentlemen, I think our distinguished panelists, Professor Wumi Ledere, Emeritus, Professor Zainab Gobe, and of course, Dr. Taiwo Ogunle. I think they deserve a better resounding applause. And thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge, which I am certain we are all going home with today. Thank you. So I will just ask that probably you just come forward a bit for a photograph. And I would also ask the NAEE president, probably some of the team members, to just come join them for a photograph as well. That's just move forward a bit. Yes, the past president as well. Yes, Professor Merwe. Hello, ma'am. Hi. Thank you. So just come forward, join. Of course, I will be in the picture myself. Thank you.
You agree with me that Blossom did an amazing job moderating a session with 3 professors. So you can also call her Professor Blossom, right? Give her a round of applause, please. Amazing, amazing moderation. Speaking to 3 professors and, of course, doing it excellently. Right after their photo session, we'll be giving some award plaque to them. We'll kindly request that Dr. Hassan Mahmood remains on stage And then the ushers kindly guide and bring the plaques to Mrs. Priscilla Ekpe, FNAA. Please celebrate them once again, please. Give them a round of applause. Celebrate them. Thank you. The first award, Dr. Mahmoud, please, you hold on. Please, all of our speakers kindly remain seated. All of our speakers, please kindly remain seated. The first to be given to Prof. Zainab Gobiru, please, her plaque. Thank you. The very first that will be handed over will be to Prof. Zainab. Thank you. You're the first. I've given you Prof. Zainab. Please give her hers. Thank you. Dr. Hassan Mahmoud is presenting these plaques to them. Thank you, Presido. Presenting to Prof. Zainab. The second will be given to Dr. Taiwo Ogunleye. The second to thank you. Up next, we appreciate Professor Wumi Eledare. Up next, after Dr. Taiwo. After Dr. Taiwo is next. Thank you, Professor. Prosperity without posterity is inconsequential. That was a key note we got from Prof. Wumi. Thank you. Of course, Dr. Taiwo Ogunleye up next to receive his plaque. And the last but not the least, superstar moderator, deputy manager, digital engagement of the NNPC Limited, Blossom Zurumba Ehia Renuen. Thank you, ma'am. Lively as always, phenomenal as always. We celebrate your tenacity of purpose. A very quick announcement, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. After this moment, we will have lunch. Once we are done with lunch, we would kindly request to come back for the AGM, which we will hold here. Now, if you visit the NAEE website, you will have access to downloading your membership certificate. Please visit the NAEE website for those who have renewed their membership for 2025. Visit the NAEE website, click on the menu drop down, and download your membership certificate. Okay. And then up next, we'll also announce that the conference certificate is on the conference website. So please endeavor to also visit the conference website, and then you will see a drop down conference certificate. You can download your certificate. The AGM is going to be holding in one of the conference rooms, which you had concurrent sessions, not here. I've just been informed that the AGM will be held in one of the conference rooms, not here. Of course, finally, thank you so much. We have a few sponsors who didn't receive their plaques. NUMS, NNPC, please come forward. Global Gas Refinery Limited, please come forward. AA Holdings, please come forward and get your plaque. Grid Energy Limited, please come forward. PTF, please come forward. And NUPRC, please come forward and get your plaque. And ladies and gentlemen, wrap up this event with the closing remarks, and will be taken by no other than Dr. Mrs. Priscilla Ekpe, FNAEE. Please, Dr. Priscilla, please come and give a closing remark. Please come for the closing remark, Dr. Ekpe. Thank you. I've announced all of them.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We want to thank. Good evening, everyone. Please permit me to stand on already established protocols. To do the closing remark is just to appreciate all that have made this year's conference a great success. I want to start with appreciating the Almighty God who has made it a great success for us, that we are concluding without any incident. To him alone be all glory. I want to thank, our appreciation goes to the PTDF, our ever super chief host that has been supportive of NAE for years, since 2017. We want to say we are grateful. We appreciate PTDF. We appreciate NUPRC, our sponsors and partners, institutional sponsors and partners. We extend our appreciation to NUPRC, NMDPRA, NNPC Limited, Green Energy, CBN, Abuja Investments, Global Gas and Refining Limited, Energy Learning Solutions, Tenor Energy, Niger Delta Power Holding Company, Seplat, NCDMB, ECN, Rain Oil, Hyde Energy, NIPP, Total Energy, Techno Oil, Afford Coats, NER, NEC, Master Synergy, AP, First EP and P, Watersmith, CPEL, and others. We want to say a very big thank you to you all. Without you, we don't know if this conference would have been possible. We want to thank all our council members from far and near for all the good work you did that made this conference to be successful. We want to thank the LOC. We want to thank the PTDF facilities, the security that have ensured that our stay in this place throughout these days, since Saturday, has been successful. We want to thank the media, all the vendors that have contributed in one way or the other, the caterers, the cleaners, everybody. And without forgetting our president, who has been the one that drove this planning up to this implementation. I also want to use this opportunity to thank my organization, the NMDPRA, right from beginning, the support, and my ED, my direct boss, is here, giving me all the support to be part of this conference. Thank you also to the students that came from far and near that made the conference successful as well, and all the organization. Thank you, thank you. By the grace of God, we hope to see you next year in another conference circle of 19th anniversary. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end. My name is Ofo Fono Noakpa, and my pleasure it is as always to serve as your MC for the conference. See you at the 19th edition. Shout out to Oga Abdullahi. I see you for all you do for PTDF. Thank you so much. So let's take a group photograph in front for those sitting in the hall. Please just come out. Everybody in the hall, please come this way. Please come this way so that your faces can show on our website as those that made history on the 18th edition of our conference. Please, I kindly request every single person to come out. Thank you, every single person. Please come out and just let's have you here where we have Amicable and the team take us photos to wrap up. Please, if you're sitting down, you're wrong. Well done, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Phenomenal event as always. Thank you. Please come forward for a group photograph. Those that are outside, please inform them that we are wrapping up right now, as Amicable will direct them on the best way to stand for the photo. Shout out to my boss. Shout out to Kelvin and his team. Digit 1, I see you. Thank you so much. Sound audio, thank you so much. Bye for now. See you in the 19th edition.